An 8-year-old shoots a 9-year-old in the parking lot of Chipotle. Why? Because once again, a parent leaves a gun unsecured inside of the vehicle, goes inside of Chipotle and orders. And all of a sudden, a murder could have taken place, or a killing, a shooting did. Tragic, right? Well, check this out. The Georgia law prohibits local jurisdictions from actually changing the law so that they can hold parents accountable for these types of actions. Literally, it is illegal for the state, well, with the state, it is illegal for a county to pass a law saying, hey, that's a crime. Let me give you some background. The gun was left unsecured. Let's put up a picture of the Chipotle. The gun was left unsecured inside of a car where children were. It was parked outside of a Chipotle in a place called Snellville, Georgia. The child's mother was inside ordering food at the time of the shooting. It's not clear exactly where the gun was located inside of the car, but employees of Chipotle called police for help and tended to the child. One of the witnesses, let's put up a picture of the witness. She spoke to WSB TV. One of the witnesses said, and I quote, "Some kids came in and they were screaming that someone shot him. You could see the visible gunshot wound coming out of his ear. We just stayed here applying pressure to the wound until the paramedics came. The mom was right there. She was the one putting a towel on his wound." There have been prior incidents in the area similar to this over the past several months. Several children have either been seriously injured or killed in Georgia after being around an unsecured gun with another child. We reported on 2 of them right here on Indisputable. This is the 5th child injured in a shooting this year in Metro Atlanta. 3 children have been killed by guns this year already. Let's go national. According to the Give First Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, 4.6 million minors in the United States live in homes with at least one loaded and unsecured firearm. 70% of parents reported that their children could not access the firearms in their households on their own. But over 1/3 of the children belonging to those households reported being able to access the firearm in less than 5 minutes. So let me just bring the humanity back into this conversation, okay? There's a reason why a kid can't drive an automobile. It's dangerous. It's simple. There's a reason why a child is restricted from doing things that could cause injury to themselves or to those around them. But all of a sudden, when it comes to guns, conservatives in particular, and some Democrats lose all common sense. No, let's pass laws to stop local jurisdictions from passing laws that will protect children. Once again, a child could be dead, but still the family, their lives have been turned upside down in a significant way. But we come back to this one element in our societal construct: fascination with guns. That somehow, if it's guns, it's good. That's how some people think. Some people believe this. Anna, you see this for what it is, and you've covered stories like this. But once again, the policy says that the local jurisdictions are unable to pass criminal laws for guns and against gun negligence like this.
Yeah, oftentimes when we talk about gun laws and how it's left up to the states or it's left up to various counties, it doesn't really make much sense. And I find that to be an incredibly ineffective system because people don't live on islands. We're one country. We don't have borders between counties and states where people can't enter. But this is one of the rare instances where it could actually be effective and it could have a domino effect in regard to prosecuting parents who are not responsible with their guns. There was the case recently in Michigan, one of the more, there's school shootings on a regular basis, but this was one of the more high profile school shootings in Michigan recently where the parents, for the first time, were facing prosecution as a result of not securing their firearm. In fact, they purchased a firearm for the school shooter during the Thanksgiving break. Yep. And what I really appreciated about this unprecedented prosecution is that honestly, I felt that everyone could really put their support behind that. It's not about banning guns. It's not even about restricting access to adults who want guns. It's just about ensuring that if you have a gun, please be responsible with it. Please keep it in a safe place so your children don't have access to it. To think that we now have lawmakers who genuinely will fight against those kinds of common sense regulations really blows my mind. And it does go to the point that you made, that whenever we're talking about gun violence in this country, the conversation is completely dominated by two extremes. One extreme, ban guns, the other extreme, no regulations whatsoever. In fact, no personal responsibility, even when it comes to a context involving children. I think it's pretty sick. I'm not in favor of banning guns. I think common sense gun legislation is sorely needed in this country. And I really do think that criminal charges for parents who are irresponsible with their firearms makes all the sense in the world. And I think that's what we should be fighting for, absolutely.
You know, it's constitutional to bear arms. Constitutional rights, however, come with common sense responsibility. That's how rights work, so that you don't deprive people of life and liberty. But when you have this happening on a semi-regular basis, and some jurisdictions it happens more than others, it creates a public health crisis once again. There's a commissioner named Ted Terry. Ted Terry represents DeKalb County, which is located next to Atlanta. Ted Terry has been on the show before. He's in Georgia. He knows about the law. So what he did is he presented a civil law that would create a penalty, a fine, a monetary fine for parents who did things like this. That was his way of usurping the state law, which prohibits a criminal law to be passed. He did this because he simply wanted, Anna, he wanted a real educational campaign to be connected with the new civil law. Because states that have done this, they have seen accidental shootings decrease significantly because of the, not just the civil penalty, but because of the education that surrounds it. And guess what? The conservatives, they said no. Fascinating.